Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about some breastfeeding hacks. Okay, and breastfeeding is if you're exclusively pumping or if you're exclusively nursing or if you're doing both. If you are feeding the baby the milk from your breast, okay, your baby or someone else's baby, because we do share the love around here, that is considered breastfeeding. So keep watching this video if you want some breastfeeding hacks on how to boost your milk production here with Clinique Molière. Thanks for watching. Let's get to it. So let me start by saying that a lot of this is evidence-based, just being a labor and delivery nurse for over 8 years, also a certified nurse midwife and a family nurse practitioner and OBGYN. So I do have the experience and backed with evidence-based practice. So a lot of this is going to be based with evidence, but not only that, but in addition to evidence-based practice, I have a personal experience of recently giving birth to baby Aiden, and which I can't wait to share him with you guys. But baby Aiden and my breastfeeding attempts, and then my breast milk boosts and my supply breast milk where I'm donating my breast milk. So I just wanted to make that note, and then let's get to it. So number one, releasing the fear. Okay, so I know we're like, okay, I thought we were here for breastfeeding hacks, but this has a lot to do with this. You're gonna have to address and surface your fears around breastfeeding. So just go ahead and pause the video, get out a sheet of paper, write out your fears of breastfeeding. What are your fears? What are your concerns? If you're gonna be enough, if the baby is gonna latch, if it's gonna be too painful. There's so many different concerns. What are your concerns? What's true for you? Surface that, put it on paper, put it in writing so you can see it. And then on the opposite side, go ahead and write the positive affirmation that's opposite of what your fears are. So just making yourself aware of the fear allows you to address it and to release it. And so I always like to surface my concerns, surface my fears, and then I release it with love once I know what they are. And I change that thought. I counter the thought with the new positive loving one. So the reason why the fear is important, okay, is because it's not only the fear, we talked about fear in other videos, but that fight or flight, activation of the, cascade of events where, you're having increase of hormones and stress hormones, and just to keep it plain and not simple. And so that those stress hormones impact your milk production. It impacts your breastfeeding experience with you and your baby, the bonding, and it also impacts the actual milk that you are providing to your baby. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about breast intention, so breastfeeding intention. So I literally, before starting to pump or before breastfeeding, I would always set my intention for that session, because that energy, and again, those hormones, either stress or not, are actually transferring, just like the placenta, just like in utero, where the energy and the stress hormones and all of that flow goes to your baby. And the same concept for breast milk. And so you want to be aware of how you feel before every session. So it's going to be important to stop, to relax, okay, take a load off, to be mindful in that moment, because you're on the go, and then breastfeeding becomes, and pumping becomes, more of a chore than it does an experience that is a bonding experience, that is all the protective benefits of breastfeeding. All the good benefits kind of go out the window when you're thinking about waking up every 2 hours or having to clean breast pump supplies, and you become stressed and overwhelmed. So it's going to be so important just to take a moment to relax and to take a couple deep breaths. I like to just take 3 full breaths if I can. Take a deep breath, and you can even count them. So in 2, 3, out 2, 3, and then in 2, 3. And some people like to hold it, so you could do in 2, 3, and then hold that breath for a second, and then out 2, 3. So you're doing a breath work in and breath work out. And you could do the count within. You don't have to say the count out loud. Whatever makes it easy to just kind of take 3 renewing, refreshing, rejuvenating breaths before getting started. And that breathing and that breath work, that breath work allows you to be present and to be mindful. So you're mindful of your heartbeat, you're mindful of your respirations, you're mindful of your energy. So how do you feel? Where were you coming from? Were you rushing in traffic? Were you trying to make it to another appointment? Were you overwhelmed and stressed by being a new mom, or being a mom of two under two? There's so many different things that go into, motherhood and parenting. And so being mindful of the energy before you breastfeed or nurse or pump is going to be key. Okay, so addressing the fears, addressing the concerns, and releasing them with love. And then we talked about releasing them, and how the best to do that is you're actually writing down your fears, whether you think you're not enough, whether you want to know if the baby's going to actually gain weight. Is this milk enough for the baby? Will I produce enough? Will I be able to breastfeed as long as I want? Will it be painful? We talked about the different reasons. So you're surfacing it, addressing it, and then you're releasing it with love. Some ways you can do that is doing the activity of writing them down, surfacing them, also doing affirmations before starting breastfeeding as well. I am enough. My breast, so again, opposite of what your concerns are, opposite of the fear, the breastfeeding is enjoyable. I am enough. I produce enough. I overproduce. I'm able to donate. So speaking life versus death, and speaking positivity versus negativity to your breastfeeding experience for you and for your baby. Next thing that's going to be key that I did, number 2, is warmth and compress. So warm and compress, or compress and warm. And most of our mamas who are breastfeeding successfully are familiar. So if you're new and you're just kind of preparing for breastfeeding, this is going to be key. Is I did, especially in the beginning, until my milks was really let down and I got the flow of things, I literally did a warm compress before each session. And I know it seems like it's going to be a chore. It seems like it's, a task and to do on top of everything else you have to do as a new mom, including taking care of yourself. But it was really pivotal to me, as was warmth, compress, so that the warm towel on both breasts, and actually compressing. So you could either hold down to downward motion onto your breast, or you can massage. And I like to do both. So I literally I'm going to share with you, you're going to come with me into my secret private space, intimate space, and I'll tell you what I did each session. So I literally would have the warm compress on, right? So I have the warm compress. I'm just kind of going in circles here, and sometimes I would just go downward because that's, the flow of your ducts. Okay, so I would go down a downward pattern, and I would say let down. So I kind of tell my body what to do. So I say let down, and this is with the warm compress. And then I massage, and all throughout, going towards downwards. I'm massaging again, compressing, and kind of going downward to like the ducts, the nature of the ducts. And I'm going downwards. I did a downward let down. I did massaging underneath and all around. Okay. And then I literally did a manual expression with every pumping session. So I did 3 things, and I'm going to tell you everything I did. So something worked, or they all worked, that allowed me to overproduce and to donate. So hopefully this can help someone. So warm compress and compress. And some people will say warm compress, but we did warmth and compress. So I did warm compresses, and then I compressed with massage, and then compressed with the towel, with the warm washcloth. Very key. Third thing I did is I consumed my placenta. Okay, and if you know any mama who consumed her placenta in any form of fashion, whether that be eating it raw, consuming it raw, taking the placenta encapsulations with the pills, or having the tinctures, or so many other methods, putting it, baking it, cooking it, putting it in a pasta, taking raw chunks, putting it in a smoothie. However you take it, most of our mamas who have taken and consumed their placenta will tell you that they have an overproduction of milk supply. So if that's your goal, whether you want to do it for yourself or do it for someone else. I mean, one of my dolls I just saw in travel was telling me about her surrogate experience, and how she was able to pump and overproduce and supply breast milk for that baby and mama for a whole year. And again, she was a surrogate, and she was able to give it to another friend because the surrogate mother and family did not want the express milk. So she was able to give it to a friend that was nursing, and so that's so impactful. So whether you are doing it for yourself or you are overproducing for someone else, and that all comes back to you because we're all connected. So giving is receiving. So it's beneficial either way. So consuming your placenta, and I love this idea because consuming the placenta has so many other benefits. And just look at my my website for some of the, and I'll put it in the description box below, but look at my website for some of the description of the benefits of placenta encapsulation or consuming your placenta. You could even go online and take a look at some of the benefits. It's vast, and the research is inconclusive for some of it, but again, benefits versus risk. What harm if you have a placenta, if there's the low risk factors, the benefits are going to outweigh the risk here. So take a look and delve into your placenta. We offer placenta encapsulation services, also placenta services where instead of tossing your placenta, check out our website for some of those services. And if it seems so overwhelming to have to warm up compress and do that with every session, you could even do it before your showers, and then pump right after. So a hot shower or warm shower, and then you do your compression exercises or maneuvers in the shower, and that preps you for a really nice, amazing breastfeeding session. Also, that's another way to get rid of some clogged ducts. Okay, we could do that in another video, but just if you could bear the pain, if some of those engorgements and the clogged ducts, you can kind of compress it in that hot shower and kind of express downward towards in with the session, the feeding pumping session, and that usually dislodges a clogged duct. But and again, warm compresses, that kind of thing, and then pumping, expressing the milk. Number 4, consumption of lactation pills. Okay, so this is going to be a really big one, because I actually supply lactation pills, and I actually prep them at home with 100% organic products and herbs. And so I would highly recommend this one as well, taking this daily with your placenta encapsulation pills. You're not going to go wrong here. You're going to overproduce, and so you're going to thank me later. So if you're interested, check out our website for some of those lactation services that we offer. But most of your lactation pills are going to have fenugreek in them, maybe fennel, milk thistle, you name it, some other thistles. Either way, combination of a few or less, but the idea is to increase or boost your milk supply, and I found that to be very helpful for myself, so I would highly recommend that as well. The 5th thing I did was diet and hydration. So there's no set diet for lactation. You just want to, just like pregnancy, you want to eat a well-balanced diet, and that's going to be key to your production of milk and then staying hydrated. So the rule of thumb is, if when you're pumping, you have a pump station, even if you don't have a pump station, because that's not always realistic, but always having a tall cup of water or 2. And so for your pump session, you in return, you treat yourself with a tall cup of a beverage or water, preferably, so that's going to be key. So water or hydration goes hand in hand with every session for sure, and definitely making sure you ensure your intake throughout the day. Some other things are some herbal benefits of mother's milk and some other herbs that I'll list in the description box below. I did some of these daily, whether you do 1 glass per day, or 2 per day. It's just going to be up to you what your comfort levels are, but I tried everything and I overproduced, so so give it a shot. Including in the diet, again, we talked about hydration. There's a saying that coconut water actually boosts your supply, but remember, it's high in calories, high in sugar, so you have to outweigh your benefits versus risk if you're trying to monitor your, you're not supposed to be doing that, but so I'm just going to say it. Another thing that goes hand in hand with diet and hydration is going to be coconut water. There's a saying that drinking tons of coconut water also boosts your milk supply, so go for it. If you're trying everything, then why not? Another thing that you can help to benefit and boost your milk supply, I don't know if we're on 5 or 6, but it's going to be to pump and to express. So either or both preferably. So that hospital grade pump was so sweet. So literally just go ahead and put that on if you're at the hospital, maybe day 1 or 2 there. We know, I know we always say, oh, you don't need the baby's your pump, but even though you're breastfeeding or you're nursing rather in the hospital setting, because they usually see colostrum, you're not really pumping colostrum. Some people are, but in the hospital setting, even if you take a pump just to, kind of start stimulating and telling the brain, hey, activation of the lactation, lactogenesis, and all those different phases of milk production. And so even if you tell the brain, just go ahead and hey, go, then that's great. And you're putting baby on breast for colostrum, but you can pump every now and then with that hospital grade pump, or you can buy one for when you get home. But definitely pumping in between sessions was key for me to my overproduction and milk supply. To close this session of some of the things I did, some of the other things you actually know already. Make sure your baby has a proper latch. Make sure you latch, at least to make sure you're feeding for or pumping for at least 15 to 20 minutes more until you're empty, and then doing it regularly. So every time baby's hungry or on demand, whenever baby gives you cues. So these are some of the things that we know and some of the general things. But I wanted to give you some of the additional points and perspectives. But I wanted to give you some of the additional key points that I've used that help me to overproduce. Check the description box below for some of my other tips to bring this home. Thanks for watching and happy breastfeeding. Au revoir.